Spider-Man Brand New Day is the latest Spider-Man movie directed by Destin Daniel Cretton and written by Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, who have been the writers since Homecoming, which I didn't even like, but I can appreciate how different they wanted to be. That said, I've never seen Far From Home, since at that point, the MCU didn't feel like it needed to continue. I saw No Way Home, and I enjoyed my time with it, but it was definitely like his reference to movie. It was cool, but nothing I thought about afterwards. That said, since Homecoming, all the Disney Spider-Man movies felt weird. Like, none of them knew where they wanted to take Spider-Man. He was great in Endgame and Civil War, but outside of those two moments, his own movies felt grander in scope, and that's where Spider-Man Brand New Day comes in. It's almost perfect. It felt like the Spider-Man movie that needed to come out since his debut. It felt grounded and small. And it's these types of stories that the MCU needs to bring back to what made them so special. And thankfully it is what they're doing, because Thunderbolts kind of follows the same structure. Anyway, with that, the plot synopsis. After the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, Peter Parker's identity has vanished from everyone's memory. 4 years have gone by and Spider-Man continues to keep New York safe. But the mental toll of living in a world that no longer remembers Peter begins to take a hold of him. And when a new villain emerges, throwing Peter into the past, he begins questioning whether he should continue fighting or finally give up the mantle, all while undergoing a series of changes from a world that no longer remembers him. And I loved it. And what makes this movie work is the universal reset. Having Peter be a nobody in a world where he used to thrive in, knowing he can no longer go back to it, but then having the mental load of him being Spider-Man, keeping New York safe like he never left, takes a psychological toll on Peter, with him wanting that happiness and the friendship he used to have, but having to keep everyone he knew at arm's length, knowing that they're gonna be at risk if he gets too close, is amazing. I really love the human conflict that comes with being a hero. I love the growth Peter goes through, and it helps that while there are references to the past movies, they're not needed to enjoy this one. In fact, you can skip all of them and jump right into this one. The only reference you will need to know is Aunt May is dead, which I completely forgot is what happens in No Way Home, but the movie reinforces that so many times. Anyway, as always, Tom Holland plays Spider-Man, and he's fantastic in this. I love the way he acts. I love the way he shows pure raw emotion in various scenes. With that, when I heard a Punisher was gonna join the MCU, I thought that was dumb, because outside his show and the Netflix verse, he doesn't feel like he should belong to this universe. And I still feel that way with how ultra-violent he is in that, but somehow in this, he feels incredibly natural to this new universe, even though this is the first time we see him in a world full of superheroes. But with that, he's just fantastic. Jon Bernthal continues to be my favorite Punisher with how gruff and soft he is in certain scenes. He captures the vibe of a killer who was wronged by the world and is continuously wanting to get better, but doesn't know how, and seeing him in Brand New Day really shows his ultra-violent days are behind him, with his chemistry with Spider-Man shining through, with that comic book vibe the whole movie is going for. But also the banter between Spider-Man and the Punisher are fantastic. It really is a comic book movie. And I love how each one gets in the way of the other, because despite wanting to do good, they have different approaches to the goals, and that conflict is fascinating to what makes a hero a hero. And as for Spider-Man this time around, he has no one to rely on but himself. Having no network of heroes like he had in the past makes him feel isolated and alone, but it also adds to that street level aspect that makes Spider-Man so compelling. Having to rely on himself to figure out solutions, emphasizing his intelligence in a way that the other movies never really explored. And with that, there's also how he fights. In the previous movies, it was fine, but I never really thought much about it. It was usually a thwip here and a thwip there with maybe a few punches and cuts. But really, nothing about the fights ever made much of an impression on me. That said, this time around, the stunt team plus Tom Holland all played the Insomniac Spider-Man games, and it showed. The type of finishes he had in the game, along with the movement, is incorporated into the movie, and it translates so well. It's so visually satisfying with how fluid Spider-Man feels this time around. And lastly, the villain. Ever since Homecoming, Disney's never been able to capture what the other movies had, and with Brand New Day, it's no different. I won't spoil who it is, but Sadie Sink is the villain. She's a telepath who can control and take over people's bodies and minds. I won't say much more than that, but by now, with the way the MCU is, you can probably guess who she is. Anyway, Sadie Sink's character starts out as an interesting villain that I genuinely loved. She feels mysterious and complex, often doing whatever's needed to achieve her goal. I'm into it, as she's a mirror to Spider-Man, with how she grew up and how she was treated by the world. But at the same time, her character feels underutilized with what she can do. I'm sure in the future she's going to become more complex and deep. That said, with what she does here, I'm blown away with how creepy and fantastic she is. Her body switching ability and the actors who play as her but are not her is downright terrifying. I loved how it was utilized with how she uses the body swapping to torment Spider-Man. That said, a lot of the marketing shows the Scorpion and somebody else, and those two villains are just okay. They're just okay. There's nothing really much more to say. They're your typical like, haha, bad, we're gonna change the world, spiel bullshit. The overall Disney Spider-Man movie villains just haven't been all that good. So I hope when there's another one, they really bring in someone like Venom, because I think that's like, they gotta bring in heavy hitters. And lastly, I just want to mention how beautiful this movie is, and the way the color grading and CGI was handled. The way the movie was shot is incredible. Obviously not to the levels of Dune or The Amazing Spider-Man, but it does capture how isolated and frantic Peter is acting along with saving New York as Spider-Man. And there's a certain shot in the movie, I can't get into it because it's a big spoiler, but the way it was shot, I love seeing the overhead of New York in the night, and the way like a certain character is lit up, I really liked it. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna leave it there. Spider-Man Brand New Day is getting an 8 out of 10 for me. It's really good. One of the best MCU movies in a very long time. With that, take care and see ya.